How did men wear suits all the time before AC was common? They weren't all thick layers. Linen can be very cool and absorbent in the summer, even if it's long sleeves and pants. Just look at Middle Eastern clothing. It protects the skin from sun, but doesn't stop a breeze. Also, keep in mind that most formal portraits made use of extra material to show wealth and give the painter more details to play with. I doubt that's what anyone wore while picking the harvest. That said, before the advent of air conditioning, 30x as many people absolutely did die from heatstroke. In 1901, 10 people died from the heat in Chicago. In 1995, only 3 people did. I work in a building built in the 1920s. It still doesn't have AC in most folks' West. A suit. 1. You get used to it. 2. In the winter it can get super cold in some parts of it. 3. When in your office and not in meetings you don't tend to wear your jacket. 4. Summer suits made of silk or linen as well as light shirts are very common and surprisingly not too sweaty. They also had not been conditioned by air conditioning. Come to London in summer where men still wear suits on the tube, and it's very hot, especially in rush hour when hundreds of people cram into each car. The answer is you sweat and are very uncomfortable. I think about this all the time when I see old movies. I would never have survived. People weren't as fat either. Linen clothes, but also, people who couldn't live in heat humidity didn't. They either lived in a more hospitable climate or they died. It's also hotter and more humid than it was 100 or so years ago. None of this 120 heat index months in a row business. Here on the coast of Florida, recently wrecked by Helene, cities have opened cooling stations for people who don't have functioning AC because a lot of people who cannot live here do. So anyway, thanks to AC, they die without it. So in a different time or place they would die or not come here leave. Everyone smelled bad, everyone. Perfume and cologne ruled the day. I think the biggest answer is that they tended to have linen or breathable fabrics. But another answer is easy. They were acclimated towards it, and generally tended to be thinner than an average person today, which meant that they are not carrying around extra weight and sweating more. In the South, you'd wear lighter colors, see Colonel Sanders. If it's extremely hot, you could remove your jacket, but most of the time you just deal because it isn't that bad. They took off the jacket for one good reason, so it wouldn't wrinkle and look awful, and comfort while driving. Short sleeve shirts for summer, long sleeve for other times of the year. Different weights in the suits from linen to wool. Another key point, people were less fat back then. When I'm heavy, I feel warm all the time. When I've done extended fasts, I'm cold all the time. When you're physically hot, you also don't eat as much. No idea. Hey, it's 90 degrees and 80 humidity. I think I need a jacket and a leash. My grandmother, born in 1921, never lived in a house with air conditioning. She would sweat very little. I believe acclimation plays a major role. Natural fibers breathe a lot better. If you ever get the chance to wear 100 linen or 100 cotton, y'all be so pissed at the polyester shit they shovel out these days. One thing I didn't see in the comments is the construction of the suit. Their clothes were handmade. Look up floating canvas vs fused. Put on a floating canvas seersucker suit jacket and you won't even notice you were wearing anything. They just took a slug of gin, lit a Lucky Strike, and then slapped some broad on the ass and sucked it up. Like a real man does. Well, in the southern US, suits were generally white and linen instead of the dark wool more common in the north. They never knew better, so the heat they just got used to. Climate was much milder in the past, or at least less bad. Some suits are made of light materials. Also, sweat-absorbing underwear and undershirts help a lot. It often sucked. I wore good quality wool suits. And I sweat. T-shirt is vital.